Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite movie podcast, the Marquette Messenger Movie Podcast.
Yes.
Today is season 4. Season 4, going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 5. Unlike last time when we called it episode 5, that was actually episode 4. We are not sorry for that mistake, because we are somewhat true journalists. But today is the actual episode 5, and today, you want to tell us what we're talking about, Jeff?
We are going to be talking about the Sonic movie and getting into a discussion about video game movies as a genre.
Okay. So, as always, I'm your host, Will Roach, Opinions Editor.
And I am the other guy, Jeff Swift, Sports Editor.
And no one loved us enough today to join us, but that's okay because we have each other.
No, dear.
Alright, so quick little synopsis on Sonic. It's not really like the video games, if that's what you're expecting for people from the Sonic community. It's really just Sonic starts off on this island with some narration. There's an owl mother thing protecting him. And one day some guys from their island show up to steal Sonic's power because being that fast isn't very normal. And he's forced to use a ring to teleport to a different planet because that's how the rings in this version of Sonic work. And they usually have different ways that they work. So that's fine. And it kind of cuts from there to Sonic on Earth a few years later when he's, like, I guess around our age, in his teens, late 20s, something, for what you can equate that to
an
alien hedgehog.
Hedgehog, yeah. I was going to call him an echidna.
Well, I mean, it's weird. Sonic is a hedgehog, but completely different from the hedgehogs we have, so whatever. Yeah. When he's on Earth, he just kind of lives in this little town called Green Hills, reference to Green Hill Zone, in Montana. And obviously he can't really reveal himself to the people living there, so he just kind of spies on them, learns a lot about life, especially picks up on a lot of movie references. And, you know, he just gets lonely from it. And he gets so lonely to the point where he just kind of runs out his frustration, causes an electromagnetic pulse on, like, half the United States. It's shown in the trailer if you've seen that. It obviously gets the attention of the U.S. government. They send Dr. Robotnik after him, or at least to find out what was happening there, because we need the villain to come in. And from there, it's just Sonic kind of teaming up with some local cop to...
James Marsden.
Yeah, to beat Robotnik. Tom Wachowski, Donut Lord. So, my first impression, not really first impressions, but spoilerless review of the movie. You know, it's not the worst thing I've seen, not the best thing I've seen. It's a movie, it exists. They've got a good storyline behind it, but it gets a little diluted, or at least the seriousness gets diluted because, one, it's a Sonic movie, two, it's a kid's movie, and so, like, you're not going to get anything serious out of that, but I see what they were trying to do. I respect what they were trying to do. They just didn't do it very well. And that's all I've really got to say for that. Otherwise, I think we're ready to get into the spoilers. So if you're really concerned about spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog, which really there aren't many, then tune out now. So thank you for coming, and let's get on to the spoilers part. Sonic doesn't die.
Wow.
Yes.
Shocking.
Everyone expected. Basically, the only significant spoilers there are is that Sonic starts calling Robotnik Eggman by the end.
Oh.
And,
surprise.
Yeah, surprise. I mean, the reason Eggman gets called, or gets that name originally is just because, like, he
looks
round.
like an egg.
Yeah, he looks like an egg. In this one, James Carrey is, like, he's thin, so it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're, like, looking at some of the robots he
James
has.
Carrey? Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
You said James earlier and it got on my mind.
This is James Marsden.
James Marsden, Jim Carrey. Yeah. Okay. Actually, yeah, let's talk about Jim Carrey. So, Jeff, what are your general impressions of Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey as a whole, I think he is just a really, really weird actor. you know, and he uses that. That's his shtick. You know, he uses that everywhere he goes. He, you know, impressions. He tries to become the person, but this wacky version of whoever he's trying to do an impression of. And nothing surprised me less than when I saw him as Robotnik, because of any person to be weird enough to pick a Sonic movie, it's Jim Carrey.
For me, Jim Carrey, I've never been a fan of Jim Carrey. I just don't like his acting style when he's not impersonating someone. So all the, like, funny, quirky things he does just kind of annoy me. I will say, Jim Carrey probably had his fingers, like, as far down as he could get them in this movie. There's, like, a 4 or 5 minute scene of Jim Carrey just dancing in his, like, evil lair van to weird techno music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a funny scene. It's one of the better parts of the movie just because it is Jim Carrey messing around without being his normal weird self. He just kind of goes past what he normally does. I think that's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, otherwise Jim Carrey was just kind of like in the movie. Didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should mention Jeff didn't see the movie.
I did not. I'm glad.
It wasn't that bad, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the worst part about it, for me at least, Jim Carrey's being Jim Carrey, and then Sonic flosses twice.
I'm kind of taking a break from the idea of seeing movies after that Cats thing came out. And
Jeff, you didn't even see
I
Cats.
didn't see it. I don't want to see it. I'm scared of Hollywood.
You can't complain.
I'm scared of Hollywood.
I saw it.
Dude, no. Just watching the trailer hurt me physically.
Okay, how do you think watching the entire thing felt?
You must be... Well, you are insane, so that really comes together nicely.
Okay.
It's a compliment to
That's
your
fair.
character trait.
Well, back onto the trail. What else can I say about this movie? I will say, I've kind of been a Sonic fan. Well, I was a Sonic fan as a kid, not so much anymore. Definitely not now. I watched, like, one movie they had in the 90s. I watched a majority of the shows they had when I was a kid. I don't remember what, like, the normal show was called when Sonic was with all his Freedom Fighter buddies, and that's, like, an
Was it
entire
like Sonic
different
Adventures
story.
or something like that? Or
Maybe. The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was Sonic Underground, Sonic X.
Oh
I
my
watched all of
gosh.
those shows. I played a lot of the games. And what I can say coming from this movie is that they did pay attention to a majority of what's happened in Sonic. Like, just in the beginning, when Sonic's explaining his life on Earth, he's kind of playing different parts, talking to himself. Sonic did something similar to that in the show where sometimes he would just mess with people by dressing up as others. Like, he does a therapist thing for himself where he talks in this heavy German accent. And that's something he did in the cartoons as a kid. I recognize that. So there's just little things I noticed about the movie that kind of reminded me of all my childhood expeditions with Sonic.
Yes. I am not a Sonic kid whatsoever. I played it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, I played it. I played, I think, the third Sonic, I think it is. I don't know. It was like the remaster of the first, but it had, like, you know, all the same stages. So I played through the Green Hill Zone.
Yeah.
And that was, but, like, I was, like, 8, and I realized, like, I can't play anything. I'm just holding the right button for the entire time. So I'm like, I probably could just, you know, go play basketball or something like that and have more fun. And then outside of that, my only other exposure to Sonic has been through memes.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Sonic is
full of it.
There are quite a lot of memes. Yeah, I honestly just don't think there's a lot to say about Sonic. There will be a sequel. My only worry about the sequel is that at the end of the movie, Eggman gets launched to this weird mushroom world via one of Sonic's teleporty rings. And then Tails also, like Two-Tailed Fox, that Tails also has rings and comes to Earth. So I want to know how they'll explain that. I guess those rings aren't like the hardest things to come by, but then also why aren't there more people tracking Sonic?
Yeah.
I mean, you did mention echidnas earlier. It was the echidnas that drove Sonic away initially.
What?
I recognize them. Yeah. And
there's war between the species?
Well, I don't know if it's a war. I think they just wanted his power. Like, there is this tribe of echidnas that Knuckles comes from. Defending
there's a lore to Sonic?
Yeah, there's a lore to Sonic.
The only Sonic lore that I know is that he's from Nebraska.
It's Montana.
No, in the movies it's from Montana. But, like, the original... You ever see the original book of, like, how to do Sonic?
Wait, what do you...
The guy that made Sonic created this book of just, like, rules for Sonic. And it is the weirdest thing ever because none of it has ever been followed. But it was like this was his original vision. And he was from, it was like Napierville, Nebraska or something like that. And he was supposed to be like, he was part of a knitting club. And he was just like this hoodlum who liked to knit, but he was also super fast. And I think there was something about Eggman being like the postmaster general or something like that. And it's just such a weird base for all of it, you know.
Jeff, I think...
Again, memes. That's all I know it through.
Well, I know Sonic is Japanese-based.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about the validity.
Nebraska. You know, it's trying to appeal to American audiences.
I don't think Nebraska in general is very valid. But that's
Nebraska's
an
a super
opinion
valid state. That's a shot at the wrong state, Bub. You should probably go after like Wyoming or something.
I mean,
like
they're
that.
not valid either. But let's get back on track. Yeah. I don't know. There's like this entire tribe of echidnas, and I guess they just needed like filler people because the echidnas are technically good guys.
Oh.
At least Knuckles is, if they decide to bring him in for the third movie. But I guess there weren't any Chaos Emeralds.
That's weird. That's like one of the main.
That's like
things.
the staple thing.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah. But whatever the deal with that is, what was I gonna say? Yeah, Miss Jurgensen's kids in the movie were yelling at Sonic to turn yellow.
Oh my god.
Like to turn into Super Sonic.
Super Sonic. Ugh, that's a reference that goes beyond me, but I can just imagine.
Well, that's like when Sonic gets all the Chaos Emeralds, he could turn into Super Sonic. And you know, there was a Hyper Sonic too at one point where he just had like, he would change colors. It would be like a flashing rainbow. It was.
That's the problem with, you know, I think a lot of video game movies in general. But just stuff like that, you can't translate it very well to the big screen.
Yeah, I think they handled that well by not including the
that's what they have to do.
Emeralds, because that would have just made it this giant search for MacGuffins, like Rise of Skywalker times 7.
Yeah.
There are 7 Chaos Emeralds. But I think, I don't really have anything else to say about the movie.
Yeah, I think we can translate this more to just how video game movies in general, you know, are, because
typically
they're very,
garbage.
Yeah, I mean, they've been getting, I think the quality has been increasing because people have realized that, you know,
there's a market there.
There's a market there, but you can't do everything that the video games display. Like, you know, the Detective Pikachu is a good, that was... You know, it's really, really hard to make, like, a live-action film about Pokemon and having, like, kids run around and do stuff. Mm-hmm. So they changed that narrative, and it wasn't about, you know, beating gym leaders or something like that.
Right.
It was about, you know, a completely different story. It was a detective, you know, mystery, which Pikachu voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
So it was just, like, a different little story, but within the world of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. I think it was a pretty good idea. And, I mean, there have been animated Pokemon films where they... tell the story of a character, and they've worked, but that's, I don't know.
Because they follow the formula, they're all backed up by the TV shows.
Yeah, they don't lie too heavily on certain topics. They just kind of ran through it.
Yeah.
Not the best movie, but it was serviceable for the fans. There's definitely something to be said about the Jumanji movies. Originally, and I mean, those get decent reviews.
Well, yeah.
And originally it was about a board game, but now it's a video game.
I mean, remember Battleship? They made a movie about Battleship, they changed so much about it that it was, you know.
And how are you going to get inspiration from a little board game? Like, sure, Pirates of the Caribbean was a Disney ride, but they just made their own thing and let Johnny Depp act like he was drunk all the time. But how... I don't get how they do it. Hi there. Oh, no, you're okay. We'll be done in a few minutes.
Okay, I'm just gonna put it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
You're all good.
Someone's walking in on us like a jerk. Just kidding, you're fine.
Don't make fun of her. She's like a freshman.
Are you a freshman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't haze the freshman. That's my job.
That's both of our jobs, Jeff. My job is to haze you.
So that's true.
Okay. Back to it. So, we were on Battleship.
Battleship, yes.
What other... the other one on the top of my head is Rampage.
Yeah.
Which that was an old arcade
game. That you had to create your own story for that. Like that's like creating a movie for Tetris. Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah. You know, so you have to kind of go nuts with it, and you know, that was probably Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson trying to find a formula for Jumanji that could work, because he realized that one didn't work very well. So, I think. The idea is hinging everything kind of off the characters in a solid world, and that can carry your movie. Yeah. When it comes to video games, way better, because nobody really wants to like go through, you know, playing the video game, but instead you're just watching somebody else live that. Yeah. You know, you kind of have to serve, almost like a fan service kind of thing, where you know the world is like right there for you, but it's a different story than what you could do.
I mean, we were just talking about that with Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
They definitely had a good bit of fan service. I think the plot suffered for it at times, but at other times I thought it was fine.
I mean, there's enough of it just seeing like
all your favorite Pokemon, but
like Charizard actually
real life.
Be there. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I did find that disturbing. Sometimes they go a little too far in the details, like because you're used to seeing the Pokemon just like kind of blank colors without much texture, and to see like that hard scaly skin on Charizard was kind of...
It reminds you that Charizard's like kind of a horrifying thing. Yeah. You know, if I was face to face with a massive dragon like that, I would scream. I would pee my pants. You know, like it's not. Again, like when they showed like Mr. Mime and everything. Mr. Mime's always been horrifying. Is so scary.
That was a pretty funny scene, though.
It really well done. Yeah. But holy crap, that guy's horrifying. Yeah. Like, you know, just. But you know, it's you just got to make things kind of digestible, and they don't, but they do it, hinging off the idea that you know people would love to see those characters in real life, even if they do. Manifest in your nightmares, you know, sometimes, like Mr. Mime and Lickitung do for me.
Oh God, Lickitung did not.
Lickitung was horrifying in that movie.
Well, and that was a giant tongue.
It's it's really, you know,
disgusting.
That was the one where I think they probably should have left it out. You know, there's other things that were like they came in really, really well. Yeah. Again, Pikachu looked so cute. You know, that's like all you need. Mewtwo was every bit as like, you know, Mewtwo as I wanted it to be.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of stuff. The character design, I think, is also super important for especially Nintendo properties and the Sega and all that. Like Sonic, the original Sonic, nobody would have seen it if they hadn't remastered.
It still bothers me that Sonic had blue arms in the movie, but that's just because that's not part of the design. But
yeah.
I think it made a bit more sense than just doing like a cutoff and skin-colored arms.
Yeah, I mean the face and the eyes of the original one were just so horrifying, and the legs, they looked like people legs. It was so scary, but they had hair, the blue hair.
Yeah,
it looked like my legs, just blue.
God, Jeff.
So, like if I was wearing like fluffy blue pants.
Tails looks really good. You only got to see a few seconds of him at the end, but. He did look really nice compared to what I remember Tails looking like as a kid.
Yeah, again, that's kind of what needs to happen. You need to, you know, make the cartoon aspects of it cartoony. Yeah. You know, but make the real aspects of it real.
Yeah.
And for crying out loud, this is like a Sonic rule number like 1. Don't have the hedgehog kiss a human being. It's gross.
Oh,
You was Sonic 06.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. Oh my gosh, that was awful.
Yeah, I don't know what Sega was doing there.
Trying to revive a dead property.
Wow. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then failing horribly.
Yes. That's just the kind of thing that they need to keep an eye out for is, don't be gross. Understand that, like, most people don't want to see super gross things, but also, keep things, what's cartoony, make it cartoony.
Yeah.
We don't need to see Eggman as, like, a giant human-like bulbous creature, I think having Jim Carrey do it is fine enough because he looks like a human being.
I mean, they made
most
him,
of the time.
They made him they made Eggman look a bit more like the video game Eggman at the end of the movie, like the mustache.
Head, right?
Yeah, he was bald. The mustache was a lot bigger and floofier, I guess.
I mean, that's fine because that's, again, you could imagine a very weird person having that kind of thing in real life, but just Eggman's body shape, don't touch that. It's really scary.
At least it's not the cartoon Robotnik's body shape where he's actually just like a circle. He's just a sphere with limbs.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Yes.
I don't think in general video game movies are that worth seeing, especially if they're based on really old ones, but like Sonic, you can get a somewhat promising plot out of that. They did.
I think they're getting better.
Yeah.
Though, like the Lara Croft movie with Alicia Vikander, the new one, that was a better go at it, more realistic go at it than the original with Angelina Jolie. But so they're kind of learning from their mistakes. So that kind of thing. Again, with something like Lara Croft, he could just play the game. That kind of negates the whole.
Any of these.
Yeah, but like it's one thing. Like Lara Croft is such like a realistic property.
Yeah.
That you could just play the game and get the exact same story out of it because it's just chase a MacGuffin. Boom, that's your game.
Yeah.
And so that's what the movie was. It was just chase a MacGuffin. So it's so much better just to do it as a game, as to where Sonic is. You could have a completely separate story. You can't have a Lara Croft movie without Lara Croft chasing a MacGuffin. That's the entire purpose of her character.
Yeah.
As to where you can have like, oh, Sonic came to Earth, that kind of story. It would be weird. The movie was weird. But that's just how things are.
Seeing Sonic interact with the real world was sometimes entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
He made a bucket list.
That's funny.
As James Marsden's character convinced him to do. And one of the lists, like, the items are obviously going to be kind of random.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the items on the list was to start a bar fight. Because his only, like, real exposure to the world has been through movies.
Oh my gosh.
Because
that's hilarious.
Okay, but it's because he just spies on James Marsden's character, like, while he's in his home. So when James Marsden has movie night with his character's wife, they just watch movies. Sonic's there for it. He's just watching through their window. So he references a lot of stuff. He references, I think, Fast and Furious 7.
Okay.
Says, we don't leave family behind.
Ohana means family. I could see Vin Diesel doing that, like.
Well, yeah, because that's.
Ohana means family. Yeah. That's
I don't like those movies.
That's Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Ohana means family.
Okay.
He wouldn't. That's not a thing in the Fast and Furious movies.
He is Groot.
He is Groot.
And what is it? Whatever. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably should wrap it up, Jeff.
Okay.
You can say that.
All right.
Yeah, we are getting to 25-ish minutes.
All right.
So,
well, give your final score for Sonic.
Sonic? It's like a 6 out of 10.
Okay. It's an okay movie.
Yeah. It's got its highlights. It's got its definitely not highlights.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's good. Thank you for tuning in.
Hopefully we can
And
get her to renegade.
hi, Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
We're just ending
We're
the
just
episode.
finishing.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Work it out.
Bye, everyone.